Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Tech Conversations. I'm your host Guillermo. It is October 17th. Hope you're all having a great weekend so far. Let me know in the comment section below if you think tomorrow will be a red day or a green day in the stock market. Now in today's video, I want to talk about another great way that we can protect our covered calls. This is a really great strategy to use, and it can really save you a lot of money in the long term. So before I get into the strategy, all I ask is that you guys hit the like button down below and subscribe, guys. It really helps out the channel. Into this video here. Now, firstly, to be able to use this strategy, you will have to be long 100 shares of a stock. So for this video, I'm going to be using ticker symbol GM, that's General Motors, because I own 100 shares of GM. So this could be a strategy that I implement on this stock, and I want to use this just to make it more realistic and show you guys how you would use this strategy. Now, the reason you need to have 100 shares of a stock is because to sell covered calls, you need to own 100 shares of a stock. And if you go into the options here for GM, let's just quickly understand how selling a covered call works. Remember, when you sell a covered call, you choose an expiration date. So I'll just leave it as October 22nd. You come in here, you basically choose a strike price that you're comfortable selling your shares at. So let's pretend I haven't sold my covered call. Let's say I'm comfortable selling GM at $59 a share. I could potentially sell this call here at the $59 strike. For selling this call, I'm going to get a premium, $43 for this one. And basically, at the end of the day on the expiration, two things can happen. Either GM is above $59 a share. If it is, I'm going to have to sell my 100 shares at $59 a share. I still keep the premium, $43. Or if GM is under $59, then this would expire worthless. I would still keep my 100 shares of GM, and I would still keep the $43. That's how selling covered calls works. And the problem, though, with selling covered calls, and I'm sure we've all been in this situation in the past if you sold covered calls, is that if the stock drops, you might end up losing a ton of money. If you had, if you're holding and it drops, you may lose a lot of money. It may have been better to just sell it. And so what can we do then to basically hedge our position, still collect premium, and still be able to participate in upside movement? Of course, that's going to depend on what strike you choose, but basically we want to be able to have a combination of all these three things, right? Still hedging our position, still collect premium, still make money if the stock goes up. Luckily, we can do this with the strategy I'm about to show you here. Now remember, before you even start getting into the options, there's going to be two important things you need to check here first. First thing is going to be commission fees. Robinhood doesn't have any commission fees, so we don't have to worry about it. However, there are some brokers that have some pretty big commission fees. The reason we need to check that is because we are going to be opening and closing multiple contracts that could eat away at some of your profit. So always check commission fees on the broker you're using. Number two, we are selling options here as well. So remember, anytime you sell an option, there is risk of assignment. We want to avoid early assignment due to the ex-dividend, because we don't want to go through that. So ultimately, if you're on a stock that has a dividend, you should check the ex-dividend date. So for example, you could go to NASDAQ.com. You could search up whatever stock you're using the strategy on. So I'm using GM, which is General Motors. So I would come in here. I would click on the stock, and then on the left here, I would go to the dividend history for this stock. Take a look, does it have a dividend? And if it does, when is the ex-dividend date? So as you can see, GM hasn't had a dividend for a while, so we don't have to worry about it. But if it did, it would show me the ex-dividend date here. Ultimately, you want to be very careful selling options the week of the ex-dividend date. Again, you don't want to be early assigned. If you do sell options expiring on the week of the ex-dividend date, you do want to close them 2 days before. So anyways, after you've checked all that, then you can actually continue on with this strategy. So let's take a look here at what we can do. So again, I own 100 shares of GM. I want to sell a covered call to collect premium. Again, let's pretend I haven't sold my covered call yet, and so I'm about to sell a covered call. And let's just go with the one that I talked about, this $59 strike. So I would come here and I would sell a covered call. But again, the biggest problem with this is, let's say GM drops to like $50 or so, I'm going to end up losing a ton of money, right? And I'm only getting $43 here for selling this. So let's take a look at what that would look like very quickly. So let's go over to option strat. Let's go to build here. Let's do cover to call. And I'm just going to go ahead and set up the trade as it would look like if I actually enter this with General Motors. So I'm going to go to General Motors here. I purchased my 100 shares at 54.42. So 54.42. And then I chose the October 22nd expiration, and I'm selling the $59 strike call option. So this is what it would look like. I would get a credit of $43. My max profit would be $501. But again, the problem here is, let's say GM drops to 50 by October 22nd, I would be down $400. That's quite a bit of money. Even if it dropped to like 54, which is not unreasonable, I would only leave with $1. So I would be better off just selling my shares right now, taking my profit, rather than selling this covered call and then GM drops to 54, and all I would end up leaving with is $1. So that's the biggest problem. And again, with this strategy, we want to be able to hedge our position so that if it does drop to 54, we still leave with quite a bit of money. However, we still want to collect premium. We still want to participate in any upside movement. So let's see what we could do here. So let's go back to GM here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the puts for this stock, right? And so in the past, not too long ago, I showed you guys a strategy that was called the zero cost collar strategy. So remember, the zero cost collar strategy is where you use the credit that you're receiving from selling this call to basically buy a put, a protective put that will help us hedge, right? And you basically go ahead, you buy a put that basically costs the same as the credit you're receiving for selling this call. So I would buy this put right here, right? And this would basically hedge our position. It would give us some downside protection. The problem with this, though, is that we basically aren't collecting any premium here, right? We're entering this for $0 of credit. So this doesn't allow us to get any credit, any premium. It's basically cost quite a bit to buy this put. So let's take a look here. Using this basically idea here, let's just take it one step further to actually be able to collect premium, not pay as much here to hedge our position. So all we need to do here is go back up here, and we're going to switch over to sell, and we're going to sell a put. We're going to sell a put with a lower strike than the put that we just bought. So basically you want to sell a put with a strike price down here. We're basically going to buy a put spread instead of just buying a regular put. So I'm going to go ahead and sell this put here at the $56 strike. For selling this put, now I'm going to get $20 back. So now we're going to enter this for a credit again, $20 in credit. So I'm still getting a premium here, but this will also hedge our position in case the stock drops. We'll still be able to participate in movement if the stock goes up to our strike price of the call that we're selling. So again, we're entering this now again for a credit. We're buying a put spread using the credit that we received from selling the call to buy a put spread, and still entering this strategy for a credit for premium. So this is called the put spread collar strategy. Now let's take a look at how this will look like, how our trade will look like now that we've entered this strategy, and let's compare it to the regular cover to call. So let's go into another tab here, a new option strat tab, and let's take a look at what this looks like. So let's go over to cover to call. We're going to build the same cover to call again here. So again, we're using GM. I purchased my shares at 54.42. And then again, we chose the October 22nd expiration. I sold my call at the $59 strike. Again, the problem here is if the stock drops too much, I'm going to end up losing a lot of money. So what I did is I went ahead and started by buying a put at the $57 strike. This alone would be the zero cost collar strategy. Problem is we don't get any premium here. But what we can do now is we can basically come in here and sell a put as well. Sell a put right underneath the strike of the put that we're buying. So I chose the $56 strike. So now again, we're still entering this for a premium, $20 of credit. Our max profit is still more than if we would just sell the shares right now. So we're still able to participate in some upside movement here. up until the $59 strike. And if we take a look here now, let's say that by the October 22nd, if GM were to fall to, let's say, $54 again, we could still leave away with or leave this strategy with $78. And remember over here, if it dropped to 54, all we would take is $1, right? So we went from, if GM drops to 54, we're only going to make $1, to now if GM drops to 54, we'll still leave with $78. So as you can see, we're hedging our downside. We're protecting ourselves if the stock drops. However, we're still entering for a premium here, and we're still able to participate on upside movement up until the $59 strike. So ultimately, you can kind of mess around with choosing different strikes for the call you're selling. You can also, of course, modify this put spread that we're buying, but ultimately, this is what it would look like. And again, this is called the put spread caller strategy. So anyways, our max profit here isn't going to go down by too much. It's actually only about $20 that we're losing out on. So from 501 to 480, right? So that's kind of the price you pay to hedge your position on the downside. But again, I think it's always important to hedge or have an exit plan for these types of strategies. So anyways, that's how the put spread caller strategy works. Really useful. And it gives us a lot of benefits. So if you have any questions about anything I just talked about, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Check out the Discord, link to it in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time.